morning, everyone. I'm Linda Fitzgerald with Healthy Fayette County, and today we have Holly Dunn with the Haven and Tracy Burns representing the Whitewater Valley Art Association. And we're going to be talking about the Haven. Holly's here from Florida, but most everybody knows Holly and remembers her. We were in Bryan's on Tuesday, and the reason we went 4 hours was because everybody who came in knew Holly. So tell us about the Haven.
Well, most people know the Haven from our days when we offered Fuel on Friday nights, which was a young adult ministry that very much focused on youth in Fayette County. But through the years, we've shifted and molded and shaped with whatever community needs has came about. So now we're home to the Friends of the Lord's Table. We are home of what has been Communities That Care, and as we shift over into becoming just the Haven. And then lots of community organizations use our building. So from, CERT to child protection, like they all use the building as needed. So.
Okay. So how did the ministry, may I call it that?
Sure, you may.
Of the Haven, how did that get started? Tell us a little bit about the history, because there's a history with the building, which we've talked about before. Yeah. And so I think a lot of folks in the community may not know that. So I think it's important to share that.
Okay. Well, man, I can go way back, and I've actually, it's easy because I worked at the high school and there was just a need. So we had helped to plant a church that did not have like a youth group or a young adult group, and we just kind of started off by saying, we'll just have this time where we worship and where we play games and have a good time. And then as it would be, it emerged because Morgan now Goins, who's back here living, worked at a restaurant that closed at 9. And so we started at 9 o'clock at night, and from there we moved till 9 to midnight. Well, we never really dreamed that it would meet such a need. Like, it was not a strategic plan. It wasn't it was just honestly Holy Spirit led. And so the very first night we had 19 kids show up. And from that, we had a 13-year run. So for 13 years, basically on Friday nights, every Friday night, we had a time where we fed kids in the community, where we played games, and there was always faith, there was always worship, and there was always a message. And so that's really where the Haven originated. It started out at Cross Point, and then as we became quite literally our own big thing, we were running 100 kids on Friday nights.
Wow. For
a number of years, 70 to 100. And probably the most beautiful thing out of that season was just this para-ministry that emerged and partnered with the community and with service organizations and churches. So it wasn't one church's thing. It wasn't one service organization's thing. If you came in on a Friday night, you're going to make me sad, Linda. This was such a beautiful, as I touch my shirt, beautiful time. You would come in there and there would be adults from maybe 10 different sectors just serving more of our most vulnerable youth. Not that it was 100% that, but a lot of times it was. And so that's how we started. And then when we became our own thing, we moved into our own building and we ran after school programs, and we always have kind of been a meeting place, where people, whatever meetings needed to be held could be held there. And then when the FOP moved out of the Frazee Center, it happened to be the same time that the building that we were in was having some issues that we weren't able to meet for a couple weeks. And so the current mayor said, why don't you come up to the Frazee Center and just see if it would work for you? And so we moved into there. And then as that time emerged, we continued with Fuel. We really became home to Communities That Care. We started offering to kind of a cooperative space where we have printers and copiers and just office stuff that if you had if you were working in Fayette County and needed a place to plant, you could. And so through the years, we've had a lot of different things.
So like an incubator.
A bit and that was always my goal.
Yeah, but an incubator, not just for business, but for meeting the needs of kids. because I have pictures in my phone, in my stash, feels like a million pictures. There are photographs that we took at the visioning session,
Yes, with kids.
probably in the late 2017, 2018, when we were doing community visioning, and we did a session at Fuel, and still have those pictures.
Yeah.
And was amazed at what those young people came up with in those sessions. Since it's Fayette County's, we're focused on Healthy Fayette County.
Sure.
And we have great collaboration that includes the Haven through Communities That Care. But one of the reasons we do Healthy Fayette County is to raise our health rankings. So talk to us about how you see the Haven / Communities That Care, which are now just
Merging into one.
merging all together
Yeah.
into one. How you see what you do from a health standpoint.
Well, I would say today is National Mental Health Awareness Day.
Oh,
And so it's kind of a perfect time to talk about like just the mental health of a community really can drive our physical health. And so if we are reporting more days of like sadness, which is one of the higher rankings that Fayette County has, is more average days that are gloomy or people feel sad, that really impacts their overall health. You're going to eat poorly. You're going to not move as much. And so I think that we come at it from a couple different standpoints. If you think about it from like the Friends of the Lord's table, they're meeting a real physical, tangible need. Like we're feeding people meals, and I know that they're working hard to try to make them healthier meals. And then from what I have done on a professional level, which is the substance use prevention, is we're really working diligently within not just Fayette County, but also Union County through their health department and Prevention is a Cure to really prevent substance use to begin with. So if we can help kids to have the skills that they need to refuse or misuse substances as they age, we're gonna really help the health overall, because it drives that. And I mean, it's depressing. It's a heavy topic, but is premature death. So substance use, there's just no way around it, shortens your lives. And so if we can get our next generations of kids not misusing substances, they're going to live longer. We have lots of work to do.
we have lots of work to do in Fayette County. Last month's Coffee with the Mayor, which we do every other month, our special guest was Maya Mickelson, who is executive director of the Indiana Arts Commission.
Okay.
And she gave a lot of statistics from the previous Surgeon General. And one of the major things is loneliness. And we certainly have that in this community because we are a 65 plus, predominantly 65 plus community. So we have a lot of people who are living alone.
Well, and I'll jump. Is it okay if I interrupt on that?
Oh, absolutely.
So I don't know if you've had an opportunity to serve at the Friends of the Lord's table, or if you've been up there on Friday nights, or not Friday nights. They meet Monday through Friday. It is it's a circle of people that have built community.
Yes.
And out of that, like, for example, we come every year in January, we do a homeless census, and it's not me, it's really Jessica Burton from Meridian, but we, meaning several of us, have collaborated all the years and have participated. And through it, we've met lots of people that have actually eaten meals at the Lord's table that we've been able to connect to other resources that now have their own place and they're living and they're okay. They come back to serve, and so but it is a sense of belonging, I guess, is what I'm trying to get at. Like, and I do believe historically we've been able to do that at the Haven, like build a sense of belonging. Like, this is your place, whether you are coming in and meeting with your organizations, having meetings, or we have a partner who comes in from out of town that works with women who struggle with domestic violence, and she can park there in an office and meet. We have Lydia, who has significant visual impairment that
Lydia Smith.
that it does beautiful music, and she's using it as a place to do music lessons.
Wonderful.
And so, like, the Haven really is a place to belong, and I think that everybody who kind of comes in makes it their own and feels that way.
Well, the name itself, Haven, it has a warm sense, but it has a sense of safety and comfort. We use that word, We find our haven where we can go and be ourselves and let our hair down and wear pajamas all day if we want to. But that sense of safety, and then adding to that, coming together with others and building a sense of community. One of the things that Healthy Fayette County is for the most part doing fairly successfully is building some introductory coalitions. And one of the reasons Tracy is with us today is because that was our first collaboration, has been with the Whitewater Valley Arts Association, and Tracy is president. And so we work together we do the art stroll, which is the main thing right now that we're doing. And one of the 4 pillars is to build a sense of community. Okay. Because if you're coming downtown on a Friday evening, and there's going to be music, and there's a wonderful art exhibit at the art gallery, and it's a warm summer evening or early spring or early fall, and you see people like we did for you at Brian's, you begin to build a sense of community. And then that loneliness begins to leave, and you find people that you can turn to on those days and say, it's not a good day for me. And they're there for you. And that is so critically important, as is the connection between health and art, and then both of those together impacting our economic viability. Yeah. So let's talk about art. And let's talk about what's going on at the art gallery.
Okay, well, Hickory Creek is sponsoring the senior art show again this year, and that is for 60-year-olds and older. And so this is a $5 entry for any entries you want to bring in. There will be cash prizes because Hickory Creek's staff will actually judge the artwork, and there's going to be amateur and advanced. And so the artwork needs to be delivered to the Whitewater Valley Art Association on 4th and Central, 402 North Central Avenue, from November 1st and November 2nd, between 11 and 5 on November 1st and 10 to 2 on Saturday. And then the opening like we were talking about, the art opening, the Hickory Creek will then provide the food. They'll cater it for us. So there'll be some nice snacks in there and some wine and just time to meet people and talk to the artists from 6 to 8 on November the 8th. And then in November 22nd, IPA and Imagine Performing Arts right next door to us is going to be having their open mic night at 7 p.m. And then in December, they're going to have Yes, Virginia, There's a Santa Claus. So that's coming up. It's going to be from December 6th through the 15th. So lots of things going on. They'll probably have some other things going on in November, but that's all I saw on their information. But they do things sometimes on the art strolls as well. They've had some different people come out and do different things.
Right, so. And one of the great things at the art stroll from the Art Association is B.B. Bamer and her bowls, playing the bowls. I love them. They're perfect meditation. They speak to my soul. I don't know if they speak to anyone else's. So that collaboration is growing. But I always look for how we can collaborate, how we can bring art into programs going on in the community. Last month, we talked about Living Well, Aging Well, which is through the park, and how that's for 50 plus, but they're doing some intergenerational kinds of things. And that is so critically important because, well, as a vintage person, I love young people. I just, it's like when you have grandchildren. They're wonderful because you can love on them and then send them home. You don't have to change diapers or, you don't have to do any of that. But I guess I'm looking at how the arts in this community can be a part of what the Haven does, and how you see that maybe coming together and being a benefit to who the Haven serves. Because you do have a core constituency that the whole drug piece serves, correct?
Yeah. So, I mean, in the substance use prevention aspect of what we do, is we know that youth who have pro-social, it seems like such a thing, but substance-free alternative events that they can engage in,
Right.
that they're less likely to misuse substances. So kids who are busy, they use drugs less. And so I definitely see that, but I also even see it from a personal standpoint. I know that when it's through art, a lot of times I get to express my emotions
Right.
or even what I'm feeling, and so there's seasons that I draw or paint more, and it helps me emotionally. I wear who I am on my sleeve. I don't hide that from anybody, and so art is a good venue to do that. So I believe through the strolls, like, that there's things that I might be able to bring to the table with the community that we've developed. A lot of words to say what I was trying to get to, but I
Right.
think it makes sense.
Well, having the strolls, that gives you more room outside because we have the both sides of the street that we can have tables set up and do different things. We did have one art stroll that we had different people come out and do different kinds of art, because a lot of people just think it's drawing or painting, and it's not. It's a whole array of things, because art includes everything from a doodle all the way up to a masterpiece orchestra. Just those different things. There's so much more involved. And so having different people on the street, I think, really has helped with that, because it's one thing we try to do at the gallery. It's not just your paintings, it's not just drawings, it's not just photography. We've had one-man shows, one-woman shows, three-woman shows, different things. So we had one on fiber art shows, or fiber arts. That was a year ago in April, and then we had just recently. That was with Susan Yanos, myself, and Gail Siebert, and then in August we had one with Janine Hurd, Cindy Perez, and Katie Wood, and they were unconventional artists. So they found objects and they made it into art. So lots of the one lady made jewelry out of silver, silver platters, silver, flatware,
yeah.
and things like that. And then Janine finds different things that are wood pieces that she puts together, and it's just amazing what. So those are just Vine's thinking in different ways, and then there's other art too. So.
And some of us write books.
Yes, write books. Yes.
I write a lot. You know what I would say even about this is just a sense of belonging. I remember when I first came to Fayette County. So I came here, I did AmeriCorps for a small season, and then went to undergrad, and then left for grad school, and then found myself back here. And I was working on a community event, actually setting at Brian's, and over and over and over, people kept coming in and I just was hearing the interactions and. Just really this overwhelming urge that this was a place that people cared about each other,
Right.
and that maybe you could make a difference, and so that's really what drew me to Fayette County to begin with, and so it's funny that we met at Brian's and now we're talking about this because I do believe that there is a lot of younger folks that have moved back to Fayette County.
Okay, that's good to know.
And I do believe that the art stroll and what you're doing with the art association and the arts as a whole, that is a big draw. And I don't know that people know fully what it's like when you show up. I was sharing with Linda last October. I pulled up after an event and the band was playing on the street, and I walked down the street and just kind of caught up with some people and like perused in a couple places and visited some old faces that I knew and loved. And that sense of belonging really does lift your mood.
Yes,
It does.
You know,
It does.
It brightens your spirits up. And everyone wants to feel like they belong somewhere. It goes right back to Maslow and those hierarchy of needs. Like
Absolutely.
just having the basic core of feeling like you have a place that you belong, and relatively quickly everybody knows your name.
Right.
Yes, yes, and we don't really think of those things until some life event intervenes, and we're caught up, and we kind of have to step back and look at who we are, and more than that, what are we missing in life? And because we get so caught up in work and doing things. And the whole art stroll piece came about because we were talking about, when we first launched Healthy Fayette County, we were talking about what could we do that was simple, that would get people out and about. And I noted the fact that we had these nice new sidewalks, perfect for strolling. And we use the word stroll so people don't think it's a power walk.
Right.
It's literally a leisurely walk. And it's movement. It's not rapid movement, but it gets people out and about, and that's what's important. In terms of helping people understand, we're still not sure that the general population understands where we are health-wise. I mean, we're 90 and 91 in health outcomes and health factors out of 92 counties. That is a movement up for us from the past, but we need to be up 40, 50 out of 92, not 90 and 91. Plus, I think we have to help people understand how that impacts us economically, because people want to live in a healthy community. They want to live where they know that the people aren't going to live 7.3 months less because they live in Fayette County.
Right.
So all of those things so it's a big educational piece. So saying that, Holly, how do you see the Haven, and particularly the drug focus, being a part of helping us do that?
You know, we've been working on this. It's not new. So sometimes people, they don't know what they don't know.
Right.
Sarah Rathburn came to Fayette County, man, it's maybe 15 years ago. And so 13 years ago, we started collecting data. And so we started implementing substance programs like Too Good for Drugs or Project Alert into our Fayette County School Corporation. And we've really landed on a place where we're working with kids 3rd grade through 8th grade. And then we're doing, these substance-free alternative events with a focus of high school. And then we're doing these norming campaigns throughout the community, really targeting all of our adult population. So we try to hit the whole population. And it really does matter. Like what you're saying, it is, that dial is slow to move, but it is moving. There is progress. There's change. I probably one of the biggest campaigns that we were able to be a part of, and I feel like has really shifted the data. Like sometimes you don't see data shift quickly.
Right.
And that is the idea of removing the risk, getting medications out of your house that you're no longer taking, disposing of them safely, getting them out of the house and into a place where they can be incinerated by our local law enforcement, and not sharing your medication. Like just the idea that we lived in a population, and I love my mom, God rest her soul, that if you had a headache, she's like, I got something, and that generation, that was really what they did. And so with communities that care, that some of the Haven work, we've vigilantly put drop boxes in new locations, like at the senior center, and there's one at both the sheriff and at the police department. And we had some in apartment buildings, but what we saw, just getting to the point, what we saw was on Before those boxes, kids said it was easy to access prescription medication. And after those boxes were in place and we did the campaign of, like, I don't share my underwear, I don't share my medication, and I don't share my toothbrush, we were really vigilant about that. There's almost no access to prescription medication. So we, all of us together collaboratively and through the prevention education, through providing opportunities for kids and adults to be safe, and really some of those norming campaigns that just shift the attitudes and beliefs, like, I would say that is a huge aspect of what we do, more so than it seems obvious. And that is, like, what is normal to your family may not be normal to your family, and just trying to shift the norm. So, like, for example, for the last couple years, we've really focused on promoting these 10 things to families, like delight in your kids' discoveries, show up to their events, tell them that you're proud, teach them to be honest and you be honest with them, keep the promises you make, tell them that their feelings are okay, love them no matter what, find a common interest, encourage them to help others, and let them make mistakes. When we teach these kind of fundamental things to communities and families, then their kids have, like, built strength for when the time comes when they're provided that opportunity to take the first drink or misuse a substance for the first time. And so it all is interwoven, Linda. I think that we are making a difference collaboratively through doing what you're doing and what you're doing.
And it is interwoven, and I think we need to help people see that it's, we're in the Western culture, we're so either or. We're dualistic in our thought process. But when you go to the Eastern cultures, they're a circle, and they see how everything is intertwined. Because I've had people say to me, well, what's health have to do with art? How come you're collaborating with it? They can see a collaboration with Parks and Recreation, but they can't really grasp the connection between health and art. And so it's helpful to try to help people understand that.
Well, and a real basic example of that would be if you're sitting around and doing nothing, you're very focused on the gray sky and your aches and pains and all the things. Do you know?
Yes.
When you have something to do, a place to be, a place to make a difference or belong, then your mind is focused on something else. I'm not saying that your knees don't ache, but your brain is somewhere else.
Right.
And it helps to just cultivate wellness in yourself. And again, the more we feel better and the more we wear smiles, the more contagious it is.
Well, and we're trying to find, we've been having different classes throughout the year, and we're trying to do some different programming and things, but it's just finding the right, volunteers to help with that, because, we are getting more members, so we probably will have more volunteers eventually. But I know when my grandfather, I never really put two and two together until I was older when I went and buy one of his art pieces that he did. He was a World War II vet with PTSD. And when he came back, he was really in a mess, and so he had to go to the VA. And one of the things that they did was art therapy. And so I have that one piece hanging on my wall. And then as I was thinking about that, he created something every day after that, and it was just amazing because that was just something he did when I was there, or when I saw him. But I didn't realize that was his way of coping with that PTSD, and so it became part of his life later on. And so we're trying to do some, if we can do some of that, it would be great.
I know we're getting closer on time.
Right.
I would also add that, on a personal level, like I've started exercising, and I feel like it would be sad to not mention that what a relief it is to your mental health when you exercise. And sometimes that gets skipped over. And so just walking in general creates your dopamine. And so strolling, it produces those chemicals that literally are the happy pill. They genuinely make you happier.
Right.
So, you can release through actual creation of art, but even strolling is going to make you happier because you're going to increase your dopamine.
Absolutely, and I wish we had more time because there's even more things that come to mind as we talk. But it's been great to have you, Holly. Always great to have you, Tracy. And next month, Trish Hapa will be here in my place, and we're looking forward to that. And we'll have an exciting program then. Thank you so much.